Hey guys, and welcome to Nintenduary, a month where we review a different Nintendo 64 game every day for the entire month. So when you're a little kid, there's only few things as fascinating as dinosaurs, at least they always were to me. You were able to see them in movies like Jurassic Park or in TV shows like Transformers where you had the Dinobots or even the sitcom Dinosaurs. Anyone here knows that? But the first time I got to see dinosaurs in a video game was in the Turok franchise. So that's why today we're taking a closer look at Turok Dinosaur Hunter for the N64. Let's get right to it. This game technically started out as more of a business venture than a passion for making games. Since Acclaim Entertainment, a company that could be seen as a little shady and which brought us weird licensed games like Rambo for example, purchased Valiant Comics. They wanted to add some cash flow to their business and obtain the rights to use their intellectual properties. And with the Nintendo 64 recently announced, Acclaim believed that the most lucrative way to turn profit would be to use Turok as a basis for the game. They ended up hiring Iguana Entertainment, who made NBA Jam, to make the game Turok Dinosaur Hunter. There was a lot of discussion as to whether or not the game should be first person or third person, and that actually affected the layout of the game. As I already said in the beginning, I really liked dinosaurs as a kid, but my experience with Turok was surprisingly unique. On one end, this game feels like a fast-paced shooter, similar to what we would expect from a game like Doom, while on the other hand, there's this atmospheric exploration element that feels very much out of something like we would see from Tomb Raider or today Uncharted, if you want to compare it to that. And I think the changes in perspective help derive the gameplay style that is equally generic as it is unique. The game starts you off in a simple enough hub world that shows all the levels, and players must enter each level and explore the world to find keys that unlock more levels. And it actually is pretty awesome here. I'll be honest, I was planning on revisiting this game with low expectations since I thought it was one of these titles that I really liked as a kid, but now as an adult I can see its flaws. And also now knowing all the stuff Acclaim Entertainment did over the years. But I ended up being actually more or less impressed by the game. The level design is really surprisingly good here, which for a game where the main goal is to look for stuff, it is actually a pleasant surprise to have that. Also, otherwise the game would get stale really quick. I mean, of course, you don't really notice that when you're fighting off dinosaurs, which is also the most amazing thing about this game. The premise is simple enough, and the game doesn't have a deep story, it doesn't need to, but with the N64 being still relatively new and 3D graphics really looking good on this console, this game is a perfect step up from something like Doom. Since the levels are really big, they added fog to get around some technical restrictions. Even though it was mainly implemented due to the draw distance, it adds a level of intensity when navigating through the game. Sure, the enemies look kind of weird, but there's enough action to keep your heart pumping. The only thing that took me a while to get used to is the in-your-face map overlay, which is kind of confusing at first, but once you get adjusted to it, it works alright. I just found myself getting confused sometimes or not paying attention to what I was actually doing because I was on the map, but you know, it's nitpicking at this point. But in this game you'll get lost a lot, and if you don't like the game not holding your hand too much, and if you don't like exploring, this game might not be for you. But at its core, it's a pretty alright title. But I think this game being actually good was more accidental than calculated. You know how the first Pirates of the Caribbean was really good and everyone liked it and it was a masterpiece, and then they made 4 more. But who cares if it was calculated or not? This game is actually not that bad. Hey, here's a little bonus. Since we have a limited number of spaces in Nintenduary, we won't be able to give a full review to Turok's 2 N64 sequels. So let's just take a moment and talk about these two really quickly. Turok 2 came out just a single year later and took pretty much everything that worked well in the first one and streamlined it a bit, making it easier to navigate through the game. They really spent a lot of time upgrading the engine, which allowed for higher resolution of graphics, and it obviously paid off here. Especially back then, when getting better graphics still mattered a bit. The environments look really good here too, obviously, and I would almost say that this game pushes the envelope quite a bit. They also added a multiplayer feature, which we really didn't have time to check, but it's obviously a welcome addition. With Turok 3 on the other hand, they took 2 years off to really work on the game, and I think it really shows again. There's something cool in every nook and cranny of the game, and I think I can really appreciate that. The game looks fantastic, and they added upgradable weapons, which was pretty cool for back then. And multiplayer pushed the envelope, having 42 multiplayer maps. Yeah, beat that Call of Duty World War II with your 3 multiplayer maps. I know there's actually more, but that's what it really feels like. I mean, with the third one you could get some frame drops from time to time, which kind of messes up the gameplay, but it's still a pretty solid experience overall. If you're looking for a good time fighting dinosaurs, check out the Turok series on the N64, which playing it on the original console is still the best way to play it in my opinion. But that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know how you like our NINTENDUARY event so far. And don't forget to come back tomorrow when Elijah takes a look at GoldenEye 007, which is probably one of the greatest licensed games there is out there. And it's made by Rare, so come back tomorrow. Until then, see you guys next time.